Welcome to Mathematics Form 1, Chapter 4, Ratio, Rates and Proportion. Subtopic 4.4, Ratios, Rates and Proportion. Alright, in this part of the lesson, we will learn 4 things. 1. Determine the ratios of 3 quantities. Number 2. Determines the ratio or the related value given. Number 3. Determine the value related to a rate. And then number 4, we are going to solve the problems involving ratio, rates and proportion. Are you ready? Let's begin. Alright, previously you learned how to write ratio, which is A to B. Now this time, we are not going to learn only 2, we'll add 1 more quantities to what we already learned. Let's look at some example. Alright, as you can see in the highlighted thing, example 1, if ratio P to Q is 7 to 3 and ratio Q to R is 3 to 5, find the ratio P to Q to R. So they are given two quantities of ratio to you, and then now we are going to combine them to become 3 quantities. Let's list them out bigger so we can get a clearer picture. Now I know that ratio P to Q is 7 to 3. And then I know that the ratio Q to R is 3 to 5. Now you notice here that I put the Q for both of the ratio in a linear line, okay, which is you see in here. I do the same thing for the number as well. Okay, I put them in the same line. Now you notice that the 1, 3, okay, so you see here, the 3 in this and the 3 in here are both of the same value. If they are both of the same value, then we can combine them straight away. So you get the ratio of P to Q to R equals to 7 to 3 to 5. Okay, so this is a simple example to find ratio of the 3 quantities. Now let's see if we have a different ratio. Okay, so as you can see here, there's a question here. Any long question, don't be afraid. At least in mathematics, the longer the question is actually not so difficult. Okay, so let's go through the question first. At the reading corner of class 1 Jujo, the ratio of the number of storybooks to the numbers of the reference books is 2 to 5. The ratio of the number of reference books to the numbers of magazines is 3 to 2. Find the ratio of the number of the storybooks to the numbers of reference books to the numbers of magazines. Now this is quite a long question. What I usually do, I'll break it down so that we can manage the information. This is what I mean. Alright, from the question, I got this information. I know that the ratio of the storybooks to reference book is 2 to 5. And I also know that from the question, the ratio of reference book to magazine is 3 to 2. The question asks for the ratio of storybooks to reference book to magazines. Now you notice that between these two ratios, there are reference book in both of them. And usually in mathematics, we like to keep it short and simple. So when you keep it short and simple, I'm not going to write storybooks as the rest of my working. I'm going to put S for our storybooks. I'm going to write R for reference book. and I'm going to write M for magazine. Okay, so what do I mean by that? Okay, so I know that storybook to what is it just now? To storybook to reference books. Sorry, storybook to reference book. I know it is 2 to 5. Now, if you notice just now, the next one should be reference book to magazine. As what I did previous on example 1, I'm going to line them up. So I'm going to line R with R, and then the ratio of R, I'm going to line them together as well. Now, why do I do this? Is to see our values the same. If you notice that the ratio of RR for two of these information are not having the same value. Okay, so if it's not having the same value, we need to do something about it in order to have the same value. Now, before we go, I want you to recall fraction. We know that fraction and ratios are connected. Now, used to be, if you learn from fraction, if I say 1 over 2 and then 1 over 3, I want these two fractions to have the same denominator. So in order for the fraction half and the fraction 1/3 to have the same denominator, you would have done, okay, you would have done multiply the lowest common factor in order to get the same denominator. So what I mean is, I know the lowest common factor for 2 and 3 would be 6. Means that half would need to multiply 3 on the denominator. I will also do the same for the numerator, which is also multiply 3. For 1/3, I need to multiply 2 in order to get 6. I'll do the same for numerator, which is multiply 2. Now I will get the denominator of 6. So you get the concept. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing here for this ratio. In order for us to get the same value of 5 and 3, so the lowest common factor for 5 and 3 would be 15. Means that 5 need to multiply with 3, and then 3 need to multiply with 5. Now when we do this multiplication, make sure you don't forget the numbers that it is together with the ratio. So means that for ratio to S to R, I need to multiply 3 as well. For reference book to magazine, I need to multiply 5 for that as well. Okay, so make sure you don't forget their pair, okay, their partner. Now we have 6 to 15 for storybook to reference, and then reference to magazine 15 to 10. Now we have the same value. When we have the same value, then we combine them together to get the final answer, which is storybook to reference book to magazine, which is 6 to 15 to 10. Okay, now let's move on to another example. This example, we want to relate the ratio to the value. The value here can be anything, okay, the real life value. So let's look at example 3. Here, the question says, Nurin's mother tries a bread recipe by mixing flour with water. The ratio of the flour to the flour is 5 to 3. If Nurin's mother has 480 grams of flour, what is the mass of water in gram that is needed? Okay, first thing first, anything with long question, make sure you extract the information that is needed. So what is the information that I have found from this question? Okay, so I know that the ratio is flour to water, and then the value is 5 to 3. Alright, and I know that the weight of the flour is 480 grams. Now, how much would that be for water? So we are going to try to see. Now the ratio given is 5 to 3. Ratio here is actually means the parts. Okay, how many parts of it? So I mean 5 parts of flour is equivalent to 480 gram. Okay, and then we want to know how much will be 3 parts of water be. So I'm going to show you two methods. The first method is the unitary methods. So unitary methods, now I'm going to scribble down. From the question just now, I know that 5 parts of flour is 480 gram. Now how much will be 1 part of flour be? So if it's 5 part equals to 480 gram, and I only want to know 1 part, so our operation will be 480 divided with 5. Alright, so 480 divided with 5, how much will you get? Now if your answer is 96 gram, very good, you're already halfway through. Now the questions ask for what is the weight of the water. Now the weight of the water will be, I know that the water consists of 3 parts. So it will be 96 gram multiplied with 3. So 96 multiplied with 3, you should get 288 gram. Alright, so this is how you use unitary methods. Now let's see if we want to use cross multiplication method. Okay, we know that 5 parts of flour, we got 480 gram. And I know that the equivalent to that will be 3 parts of flour, 3 parts of water, but I have no idea how much that would weight. Now because we do not know the value, I'm going to use an alphabet, an unknown, to represent the water. Mathematics, we like to use X, so let's use X. And this is cross multiplication. So what it means here is 5 multiply with X, and then 3 will multiply with 480 gram. Okay, so if you multiply 3 with 480, alright, you will get 1440. Now I only want X, means that I need to divide with 5. So when you divide with 5, you will get the exact same answer as we did with unitary methods, which is 288 gram. Alright, so it doesn't matter what methods you are using, in the end, the steps will lead us to the correct answer, unless of course you did something wrong with your calculation. Okay, now let's look at another example. Alright, so in this question, in a funding a bicycle shelter project, the ratio of the donation contributed by the school canteen operator, Jaya Bookstore, and PIBG is a ratio of 2 to 6 to 5. If the PIBG has donated 900 ringgit, find the amount donated by the school canteen operator and Jaya Book respectively. Alright, so from here we know that Okay, so from here I know that the canteen operator, I'm going to use C to represent, and Jaya Bookstore and the school PIBG, okay, the ratio of donation is 2 to 6 to 5. And I do not know how much is for the canteen. I do not know how much the Jaya Bookstore donated, but I do know that the PIBG donated 900 ringgit. Okay, so I know that 5 parts that PIBG donated will be 900 ringgit. So one part will be 900 divided by 5, okay, which is 180. So in order for us to find how much the canteen operator donated, so we'll do 2 multiply with 180. So we get 360. We'll do the same for Jaya Bookstore. Alright, so Jaya Bookstore, 6 part, and each part is 180. So in the end, we are going to get 1080. So this is for Jaya Bookstore, right? So as long as you know one part of the ratio with the real amount, you can find out how many parts is involved. Okay, so let's look at one more example that involve this type of ratio. Okay, a piece of wire with the length of 12 centimeters is divided into 3 parts. And given that the ratio of PQ to QR is 3 to 2, and RS is 2 centimeter. Okay, determine PQ to QR to RS. Now, if you notice previously, it will give you one part with one ratio. But the problem here is we got the ratio, but the measurement is not included in the ratio because PQQR, the measurement given here is RS, but there is no ratio for RS. The good thing is the question did give you the measurement of the wire, which is 12 centimeter. So it means that in order for us to find PQ and QR, I need to minus the total length. So from P to R, the length will be the total minus with RS, which is 10 centimeter. Alright. From here, okay, the ratio given is PQ, QR is the ratio 3 to 2. Alright, 3 to 2 means 3 parts for PQ and 2 parts for QR. And then it means that from here up to R, the total is 5 parts. How do I get that? It is PQ plus with QR, which is 3 parts plus 2 parts, 5 parts. So you get the idea here is that the 5 parts is equivalent to 10 centimeter. So one part, okay, so one part is 10 centimeter divided by 5, that is 2 centimeter. So now we can answer the question, which is the value of PQ to QR to RS. I'm not going to change anything because in the diagram, RS is 2 centimeter. 2 centimeter is equivalent to 1 part. So there is not much of the calculation involved. I can directly write my answer as is because 3 still 2, and I now change the 2 centimeter to become 1 part. Okay. Now let's see how to ratio relate with rate. Okay, how do we use relate with rate? Okay, there's a question here. Mr. Tan jogs at a steady rate on the treadmill on the treadmill, and his heartbeat is 420 times in 4 minutes. Find the number of times his heart will beat if he jogs on the treadmill at the same rate for 12 minutes. Okay, there is an important keyword here, which is a steady rate. Steady rate is important for this type of proportion. Alright, so steady rate means it will be the same throughout the jogging time. And from the information, I know that 420 beats for 4 minutes. Now the question asks you, if he jogs at the same rate for 12 minutes, what would his heartbeat be? Right? So we're going to use two methods. One is proportion method. Okay, so for proportion methods, I know that his heartbeat is 420 for the 4 minutes. Okay, 420 beats for 4 minutes. And then the question asks, what will be his heartbeat if it were 12 minutes? Okay. So here's a question. 4 multiply how much in order to get 12? If your answer is 3, yes, you are correct, because 4 multiply 3, you get 12. Now, as in fraction, whatever we multiply at the denominator, we'll do the same on the numerator, okay, which is also 3. So means that the heartbeat of Mr. Tan, okay, throughout his 12 minutes would be 420 multiplied with 3, which is equivalent to 1216 beats. Okay, so this is proportion method. And then I'm going to show you cross multiplication method. Cross multiplication method is similar to proportion method, except there is one little difference. The way we write is still the same, which is 420 times for the time of 4 minutes. And how many times would that be if it's for 12 minutes? Now I do not know what is the value, so what do? I use an unknown or an alphabet to represent. Okay, so cross multiplication is like this. So it means that I like to multiply alphabet towards the left sides, and others will be on the right side. Okay, I'll explain why in a minute. So it will be x multiplied with 4 and 420 beats multiplied with 12. So 420 multiplied with 12, you will get 5040. Now I only want to find x, so I need to divide with 4. And you will get the same answer, which is 1260. You can also do, if you want to put 420 beats multiply with 12 minutes equivalent to x multiply with 4. Okay, you can do this as well. Now, why I prefer to use the method I showed you earlier is because during calculation, during our steps, our working, you will have one extra steps. Okay, let me show you. Now, 400 multiplied with 12, you will get the same 5040. And then because you only want x, you will need to divide with 4. Now the answer will still be the same, which is 1260 equivalent to x. But this one, the meaning is 1260 is equals to x. The value that we want to find is x. So we'll need to do an extra step by switching the position. So it will be read as x is 1260 instead of 1260 is x. There's a difference between that one. Okay? So there's one extra step if you put the x on your right hand side working. Okay, now let's see how do we do estimation. Okay, so there's a question here. A farmer uses the capture, mark, release and recapture method to estimate the population of snails in his vegetable farm. He captures 24 snails and marks them on the shell of each of them. Then he releases them back into the farm. 2 weeks later, he captures randomly 13 snails and finds that 5 of them are marked. He uses the following proportion to estimate the population of snails in the vegetable farm. Okay, and you see the formula given. The question asks for estimate the population of the snails in the vegetable farm. Now this is a very straightforward question. First, he captured 24 snails and marked each one of them. Putting them back, 2 weeks later, he captured 30 snails and found that there are 5 of them that he already marked 2 weeks previously. Now we are going to use the formula given to estimate the population of snail. Alright, so this is the formula. The number of marked snail, which is 5. Okay, this one means the one that he captured from the second after 2 weeks, and after 2 weeks he captured 30 snails. During his initial capture, okay, so this one is for the initial, which is the one that he did before 2 weeks, initial. So he started with 24 snails. Alright, so we want to find how much is the population. So you can use whatever method you want. I prefer to use cross multiplication, which is easier. Now I do not know what is the estimation of the population, so I'll use an alphabet to represent. Right? So now let's calculate. So we get 5 multiplied with x, and then 24 multiplied with 30. So 24 multiplied with 30, alright, you get a 720. Now we only want to find x, means we need to divide with 5. So when you divide them with 5, you get a population of 144 snail. Alright, so I hope you understand what I've taught you. So if you don't know, you can always rewind to the front of the lesson and take from there. Okay, so you can try. If you have a SastaBuddy workbook, right, you can try this exercise from page 51 and 52, question 14 to question 16. Okay, so I hope you learned something today. If you have, make sure you share it with your friends and give me a thumbs up if you learned something. I'll see you again in the next lesson. Okay, take care and bye bye.